President Biden and former President Donald Trump are going to be hosting events on the southern border. This comes as the president is considering executive actions to address some of the issues that are happening at the border.
And border security for many Americans is top of mind. A new poll from Gallup shows 28% of Americans think it's the top issue in the country right now.
Over half of Americans think that immigration is a critical threat to the well-being of the country. So how does today's issues compare to when Trump was president a few years ago?
And most importantly, what are the two pushing for as part of their election campaign? Our Joe St. George breaks down what you need to know.
It's still too early to say what will be the defining issue in this November's election in cities and towns all across the U.S. But at this stage of the presidential race, it's clear that border security is near the top of voters' minds. The importance of border security in this year's election will be on full display Thursday. At the border in Brownsville, Texas, President Biden, his second visit to the border as president. Some 320 miles away, former President Donald Trump in Eagle Pass, Texas. So how do the Trump and Biden presidencies compare when it comes to the border? Well, under President Biden, each year there have been more and more border crossings. According to the Office of Homeland Security Statistics, there are around 2.46 million encounters by Border Patrol agents in the Southwest in fiscal year 2023. In 2022, there were 2.34 million encounters. In 2021, there were 1.7 million. Compare that to the 4 years of the Trump administration, and it is higher. On average, from fiscal year 2017 through 2020, when former President Trump was in office, encounters averaged around 572,000 each year, although we should note COVID did impact that data.
If you actually want to secure the border, it'll take an act of Congress.
Whether it's Democratic governors like Jared Polis of Colorado or the top Republican in the House, Speaker Mike Johnson,
you have to talk first about our open border.
It seems like everybody in politics is talking about the border. But what can be done? Option number one, a bipartisan congressional deal. But the chances of that seem to be close to zero after former President Trump said a recent deal brokered between Democrats and Republicans wasn't strong enough. Option number two, well, Democrats could adopt Speaker Mike Johnson's more conservative bill in the House. It passed there last year, but Democrats in the Senate have already said that's too extreme. And then there's option number three, executive action. The White House is at least suggesting to reporters that that may be on the horizon. But there are legal questions. For instance, when former President Trump tried to limit border crossings while in office through executive order, he was sued, and he lost in court. President Biden faces the same legal hurdles. With the polls showing the border as a top issue on more and more voters' minds, expect more regarding this issue from the leading candidates between now and the fall. Joe St. George, Scripps News, Washington.